everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Andy Beshear Podcast. We are excited about this episode. Actor Steve Zahn is going to talk about his life's journey and some of his favorite roles. Remember, you can download the Andy Beshear Podcast on all major platforms, but we need you to go to our YouTube channel so you can watch this famous actor and my conversation with the Johns if you'd like. You can subscribe at Andy Beshear Podcast on YouTube. This is going to be a good episode. Let's get right to it. This week on the Andy Beshear Podcast, we have a very special guest. We've had CEOs, we've had politicians, we've had folks from all walks of life, but we have never had a Hollywood actor.
Nope.
So this week, we have Steve Zahn, actor, farmer, dad, also Kentuckian, which is, I think, the part I like the most.
I do too.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, excited to have you here, and I want to start at something we have in common.
Now that
I read that you decided you were going to get into acting when you saw Les Mis.
Yep. Well, yeah, professionally. Like I had been acting and doing, I was the kid in the leads in the school plays and musicals and then, but I'd never thought of it as a career. That was something that other people did, movie people.
Those people.
Yeah, it wasn't a career, right?
Minnesota. You're thinking
right.
So other people.
So I went to London with this dance group, and I stayed longer because I was in college. And it was my first year as a freshman, and I went to see Les Mis by myself. And at intermission, I was in the restroom, and everyone was talking, and I thought, I don't want to be in here. Yeah, and it was cathartic. It really was. And I sat there, and I was like, I know. It wasn't like I wanted to be the lead, right? I was like, I'm as good as that guy right there holding the flag.
Wow.
I know I'm as good as that. Like I should be up there. So that was really the moment that I decided to pursue acting, drop out. And then I went to a conservatory and all that. But yeah, that was the moment.
I had a moment because I never wanted to be governor, where I'm standing in an elevator with my dad and somebody walks in, bursts into tears and says, I'm alive because of you, because of the expansion of healthcare. And I looked at that moment and I said, if that's something I can do for somebody, then I want to do it.
That's great.
I think what other people don't know is that he could have been doing this job, because I think you were state speech champion twice. Yeah. So you had to repeat.
I did. Okay. So the first year was in serious prose.
Okay.
And then the second year it was drama. But in speech, declam, we called it declamation. Yeah, you held your speech, and yeah.
Do you remember your prose? What the speech was?
Yeah, it was called A Portrait of a Girl in Glass, which was the short story that we cut that Tennessee Williams wrote before he wrote The Glass Menagerie. So it was really interesting, kind of like shortened version of that play. And then I did Paul's speech from Chorus Line. It just became public.
So after you're state speech champion twice, and I'm sure that's all downhill. Like the Super Bowl, it's really hard to repeat. All right, and you see Les Mis, you decide I'm going to do this. You actually start putting together some comedy troupes and some different acting groups.
Yeah, I was I started working in Minneapolis, and I did this 8-month run of Biloxi Blues, and so I met all these New York actors, and then they were like, "Hey man, you should go train. You're a little rough around the edges. You're kind of like the country kid that everything was great. I just couldn't believe someone was paying me to do this, And so I auditioned for some good schools, and I got into the American Repertory Theater at Harvard. It was a 2-year program. It was great. Changed my life. Moved to New York.
That's a school in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then And then, yeah.
When you go to Vanderbilt, that's how you feel.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Code tied. But I was an actor, so it was like, it's a whole different deal. Um, but I was there, met a bunch of people, then moved to New York, and then I started, just pounding the pavement, and that's when I met Ethan Hawke. We did a play together. We started a theater company called Malapart, and our producer was Jason Blum.
Wow.
And Jason Blum runs Blumhouse right now, which is one of the biggest production companies around. He was it was crazy.
And so one of the first friends you make in New York hitting the pavement is still one of your best friends today.
Yep. Ethan is still, we're very tight. He came to my wedding here in Lexington in 1994.
Okay. And now kids even making movies together.
Yeah. He shot a movie, Wildcat, here with his daughter, Maya. Audrey was in that, my daughter. And God, it was so great, man. We were just sitting by the monitor watching both of them in the same shot. We're like, we just turned to each other and we're like, yeah, it was just like
pretty amazing.
Little kids, yeah.
What was the moment where you said, I can be pretty good at this? What was that moment where you knew it was going to get bigger?
That's a great question. I always knew that I had a talent for it. I think it was when other people recognized. I think it was like That Thing You Do was a really big moment.
Really big movie.
Yeah, where people were like paying attention to me on a different level. I will criticize my Out of Sight was another one.
Okay.
Steven Soderbergh movie. It's interesting though, as I think back at those times, it's always in hindsight that you kind of go, oh, that was a big moment. In the moment itself, I'm not very good of seizing that and taking advantage of it. Which I think is a good thing actually, but yeah, because it was all just so gradual, it wasn't like that moment, where everything hit.
Well, what's it like though, say early in your career, having somebody like Tom Hanks walk on the set of one of your movies?
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. I still get really nervous. I still get nervous like it's first day of school and I'm going to screw up, That's why I over prepare. Which
probably makes you better.
Yeah, I mean, it's out of complete fear, But yeah, and then you meet Tom Hanks, and it's incredible for 5 minutes, and then it's like, oh, yeah, now we're just gonna hang out for the next 6 months, and it's just gonna it's like a normal dude. Yeah, it's like, and that's how it always kind of, it turns into just your pals.
So you're about to head off to London.
Yeah.
You've got another season of one of your hit shows on Apple coming up.
Silo. I'm on a show called Silo, it's our final season. There's only 4, and I do that with Rebecca Ferguson. It's a big show. My partner, my big production company called Macaroni Yard Productions, and Rick Gomez, my partner, is also on the show, which is a total coincidence and very strange. And another coincidence is that this year our characters are together, so we have the same schedule, which is just insane. But that's a big show.
So when you look at a show, I mean, of course, that's a dystopian kind of a different type of show.
Right.
You see that script. What draws you to something, or what made you look at that one and say, this one's me?
Well, Rebecca Ferguson, who's an executive producer and the star of it, she was working with Rick, my partner, and Rick gave her a couple of shorts that we made, and she watched one of the shorts that I did, and it was about a famous photographer. It was a fictional character, but an artist who was a famous photographer who took pictures of fireworks, and he had like really thick glasses. And anyway, she saw this short we did, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, he would be perfect for this character next year." And so they approached me with it, and there was already a show shot, so I was able to see the product,
Yeah.
that I was going to be inserted into in the second season. So that's an easier decision. You're not wondering what it's going to look like or trying to talk what the tone is, and
Hmm.
but generally speaking, a good script within a few pages. You really do. And for me, it's like character's huge.
Mhm.
It's not the I j
Do you want to play different characters?
yeah, I'm a character actor. I mean, I just play the gamut, really. And but I really wanna be in a good product. I don't care if I have in one scene in it or I'm the lead, It's I just you know, director's a big deal. If it's got a great cast, great character. 2 of those 3, yeah. Oh, man.
So you being a character actor, you really get into that character, and that's what people see on the screen. But tell people about you,
Me?
because like you get up early, you've got a ton of energy. It's about as different from some of the early
Yeah.
characters that you.
Yeah, no, I was like the go-to stoner. I was like the go-to, like, urban guy, like, it was totally opposite of who I am. I live on a farm, I have horses and goats.
And you do it all yourself.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, when I go, obviously, I have help, but, and we were like that at the beginning. W My wife and I, Robin, we met doing the national tour Bye Bye Birdie in with Tommy Tune and Ann Ranking in 1990, 13 months on the road, and then we moved back to Hoboken, New Jersey, couldn't afford our apartment, and we bought a cabin in Pennsylvania, this little cabin, and we thought it was gonna be our weekend place. Unemployed for 3 weeks, and that became our house. So we moved out there. So we were always the weirdos in New York that lived in a cabin and contended with bears, and our birdseed. But it became like this unique, like, now everybody's moving out of the city, moving into we did it in 1990. So anyway.
Do you think living outside of Hollywood and living outside of New York has affected your career positively?
Sure. I mean, it keeps me naive and curious. I can't wait to go back to work and be with people and being with those amazing, funny, smart folks. I I mean, I think you're either grounded or you're not. I mean, that's a good point. You're not gonna go find that. I live in the country because I like it dark at night, and I like to fish, and I like to grow things. Um, but yeah, sometimes I think I missed out on some stuff. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I missed out on some group. Like, I was part of groups early,
Yeah.
like theater groups and stuff. But I'm sure that I missed out on it. But I don't know what those things are, so it doesn't really matter.
I know raising kids outside
Yes,
of Hollywood and New York was important to you too.
huge. I mean, when we had kids, I was shooting the movie Sahara in Africa. And I was there, and that was, that's when we shot with 35 millimeter, and it took forever. And you're on a movie for 7 months. And we were living on a farm in New Jersey, and it was beautiful, but it was in the middle of nowhere. And then I convinced Robin to move back to Kentucky. She grew up here.
Yes.
And she was like, I don't want to move back home. I was like, we're not going to move to your parents' basement. We're going to get a sweet place.
That helped.
As an actually calling early internet. Yeah. Yeah. And then I came home, she was like, well, what could we get? I'm like, check this out. It's like, really? That's interesting.
You were coming off the right movie and the right paycheck to be looking.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. And we were young and dumb. So we were like going way too far. But you're kind of happy you do that because otherwise you would never do it. So anyway, we moved here with, a 2 and a 4-year-old. And it was the best thing we ever did.
I think about how before we came on to do the interview, and then other times we've talked. You put being a dad as important as anything professional you've ever done.
Sure. Yeah.
So what do you take pride in?
I'm very proud of. I was always around.
Yeah.
Yep. Even if I worked in like Vancouver, I've spent 2.5 years of my life in Vancouver. All the movies, Planet of the Apes, Saving Silverman, and crazy. But I would always fly home, and it was a pain, man. And even if it was for one day, it didn't matter. You have to do it. They remember that. And then people would apologize and like, man, I'm so sorry that you have to be gone so much. I'm like, when I'm here for 4 months, I'm the dude picking up, dropping off, going to dance, going to lacrosse. That was my gig.
My thing was, no matter how late I got home, I was going to get up with the kids that next day.
That's huge.
And it was just that time, especially when they were young, before they go to school or go to
huge.
camp. And that's when I felt like I got the real interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they knew I'd always be there.
Yep, and they do. I think that's really important. And now my kids are my pals, They're 25 and 23. I just made a movie with my daughter called She Dances, and we just sold it.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Tell us about it.
We just sold it Friday. It's still in the works, but it's a really good deal. And
Is this her first deal on a movie that she's made?
Yes, and right now she had that. No one even knows about this movie.
That's exciting.
And she's doing an Apple show right now in LA. It's crazy, but I don't know when they want to put it out there, but it's going to be in 50 theaters in 10 cities. So that's huge.
Being somebody who does what their dad did at one point, do you try to be careful about how much advice?
Sure. Totally. But
asking for a friend with my kids.
Yeah, but it's like I told both my kids, it's like over prepare, show up early, and don't be a jerk. And you'll be surprised at how far that'll take you.
Yeah. Or how many people fail.
Right.
That easy test.
Go really strive for this and fail big, But no. I mean, she knows that I can't get her a gig. She's got to get her own gig. You got to get your, be elected on your own. It doesn't, And so I'm just really proud of her. And the movie's fantastic, and it's shot all in Kentucky, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be huge.
Well, I tell you what, when it's coming out, when you're allowed to say more, if she wants to come on the podcast, let's make sure that we talk about it.
That'd be great.
And would love to hear her perspective.
That'd be really.
So you mentioned Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
And what was it like to think about, I'm going to do something I grew up watching that was on, every Saturday they'd replay those over and over.
Yeah. I mean, I was so thrilled, beyond thrilled. I was so excited. And then I was so scared because they can make you look like an ape or a chimp in my circumstance, but they can't, you got to do it. You got to do all the physical stuff and everything. And I didn't realize how difficult that was going to be. And then I was inserted into a world where people had done it over and over again. And Andy Serkis was.
And huge followings.
And so I was really nervous about it, but then it was so exciting. It was a monster. I've never been in something, I think, that big.
Mm-hmm.
When you would go to work and it was just like the sets and it's just mind blowing. But we did it like we rehearsed like it was theater. We'd rehearse for an hour. It's just unheard of. But that's why those movies are good,
Well, and I think your performance has since gone a little bit viral in different ways.
It has. Oh no. Yeah, that whole thing is like crazy how many different memes there are.
So what's it like now being a Gen Z meme? Because we often have my son Will or daughter Lila on who explain Gen Z concepts to us.
Funny. That's funny. Yeah, it's always my daughter that sends me like, Dad, you're going crazy right now on TikTok. There's like, and it's also I played the dad in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So there's a bunch of those things too.
My kids love that growing up.
Where I was like, what was it? Like he's like I was psychotic. Like dad. Yeah, it's crazy.
How different is it from the way people might consume it
What?
to what you were thinking in your head at the time playing a
What?
character like that?
What? Like dad?
Yes.
I don't know. I knew that was going to be huge though,
Mm-hmm.
because I had insider trading kind of knowledge. It was like my agent called and said, "Do you know this
You know what
book
this is?
called Diary of a?" I'm like, "Yeah, I read it every night."
Mhm.
And they said, "Yeah, it's a 3-picture deal." And I said, "Yeah, definitely. I'm in."
Yeah.
And I had the script and I had it downstairs in our little kitchen, like breakfast nook. My son came down. He was like, it was the first time in my career where my kids were excited. I just go to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not really that big of a deal. And he was like, "Dad, are they making this into a movie?" I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Are you going to be the brother?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to be the dad." He was like, "Oh, okay. That's really cool." So I knew that at pickup line, I thought I could potentially move to like God status. It was like,
And with our kids, that'll last 6 months to a year.
yeah, right. But it
If that.
keeps getting, but then they give it to their kids and they give it to their
That's
kids.
pretty special.
So it's weird. It's weird. I find it very strange to be at the K Roger
Mm-hmm.
and getting some cereal and the adults kind of going like, not noticing me and having like a 9-year-old going, "Wait, who's?"
That's him.
It was,
Or is that him?
that's why you do children, movies for kids.
As you look back at your career, is there a type of movie that you haven't done that you're maybe looking for?
No, I mean, no, not really. I mean, I didn't, I was regret this. I could have done, Band of Brothers and I didn't.
Love that
And,
series.
yeah, and I would have met Rick,
Mm.
my business partner, because he was in that. Um, I'm a history buff, so I like things like that.
Right.
And
101st Airborne in Kentucky, Fort Campbell.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the kind of thing that I gravitate towards, but
Mhm.
I've been really lucky. I mean, I've done like 3 Westerns and I've done Rescue Dawn, which is a Vietnam POW movie.
Oh, I've seen it. Mm.
And then, so I have fulfilled some of those things, but yeah, I don't know. At this point, I'm just happy to work, really.
You still love theater.
I love theater.
You even do some theater here in Kentucky from time to time.
I have.
Support theater.
Yeah, for sure. We used to have a company called the Rep, and my wife, before she was writing, my wife is a New York Times bestselling author. She's a big deal. Robin Peterman is her name. She
is a big deal.
and before she was writing, her outlet, because she was an actress, she did a lot of Broadway, dancer, and then her outlet was directing these shows with these amazing people in our community that probably could be pros if they would have followed that path. And it was so much fun. It was as fulfilling as any professional job I've ever done.
So I made my theatrical debut
You did?
about a month ago in the Opera House in Lexington.
Nice.
I'm told I broke one of the cardinal rules, but people seem to have liked it.
You broke
I looked
fourth
at the
wall.
audience. I did. I broke that fourth wall. But I figure they expected it from me.
What was it?
I played the doctor in 42nd Street.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Oh, great.
So
That's cool.
I have not gotten any offers since.
Oh,
But
hang in there.
I appreciate that.
Call
The
me.
encouragement, Mike.
Show up early. Don't be a jerk.
It's over-prepared.
Over-prepare.
I got that. Because they didn't give me my line until I got there, and
That was a hard one.
it had been emailed to me.
Oh, really?
But they gave me a clipboard to where I had it
Okay, you had it.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you hadn't gone into acting and theater, what do you think you'd be doing now?
Well, as a kid, I always wanted to be in the military, and that was kind of it. My dad was a Lutheran minister, and he was just like, he was always baffled with me. Like, I was just fascinated with that world. I don't think I would have gone into the military because I could have out of high school, and I kind of went, I don't have the thing for it. I probably would have been doing something outdoors. Like, I would have been a outfitter up in northern Minnesota, like canoe outfitter.
The Boundary Waters. Something.
Yeah, I would have been, I would have done something probably like that.
We always ask what people's secret superpower is. That's something that you're good at that no one knows, and most of the time serves no good purpose. For me, I make a Thanksgiving turkey better than most people I know. It works one day a year. That's my superpower. Brittany can pack a suitcase better than anyone I've ever met. John, we're still looking for something. We'll find something someday that helps us out.
Man, that's a tough one. That's a good question.
You get a lot of interviews. I got to have something.
I know. I do make a killer turkey. Ooh, I'm a big green egg guy.
See, I think this might have to be that next big cooking shit.
Do you know that I'm packing for London right now?
Yes.
And so when you pack for a 5-month trip, you have like the dining room table, and that's where you put this stuff. And then upstairs you put your coats and your shoes.
Yes.
And you do that for a week. So it's not like the day before, because you don't really know what you want to bring, or you forget. And so the other day I ordered, Robin was like, what did you order from Amazon? It was like boxes, and it was all rubs.
Oh,
it was all dry rubs.
You were sending.
I'm gonna bring them with me.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's legal or not, but it doesn't matter.
So I could pardon you in Kentucky. It's going to be tough.
I know. You can't buy spices there.
Really?
No.
I was going to say,
So I brought 5 months of like my rubs for my chicken and my.
That's great. That's great. By the way, Amy Klobuchar told a story on this podcast of Minnesota always provides the turkey that the White House then forgets.
Yeah, of course, because it's big turkey state.
So apparently one year, all the press is still in Minnesota. The governor does something before they leave. The turkey sees all the flashing lights, leaps out of its cage somehow into the media, and the White House calls and will not take this turkey.
Really?
It then became Thanksgiving dinner.
Really?
Yes. Yes. See, we like to get good stories, so I love that you've got to order and take the rubs.
You have to, yeah. And then I have a couple of crew guys who are like, "Hey, would you bring more of those rubs?" I'm like, yeah.
So this is what you become known for.
Yeah, I bring their little packages, and they're like, "Oh man, so great."
Well, really grateful you take the time.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks a bunch for joining the podcast.
Yeah,
Hope to have you back.
Thank you. I'll be back.
You're listening to the Andy Beshear Podcast. And now our segment where we process the issues of last week and the week to come, my conversation with the Johns, a conversation among friends. This is when Jon Rabinowitz, John McConnell, and I try to make sure we can make sense of the news that's out there that hits us minute after minute after minute. And it's where we as friends, Democrats and Republicans, find that we typically agree on a whole lot more than we disagree on. Today, we're going to start with news coming out of Illinois. I think the lieutenant governor made a post that they believe that Chicago is the next place that the president plans to send federal agents and National Guard troops. Now, they have been very clear, both the governor, Governor J.B. Pritzker, the lieutenant governor, I believe the mayor of Chicago has also weighed in that they do not want federal agents and National Guard on the streets of Chicago. So this is a little bit different than Washington, D.C., though I think Washington, D.C. is certainly feeling the impacts of having National Guard on their streets. I think the law is a little bit different, but let's turn it over first to Jon Rabinowitz. What do you think about this newest threat of National Guard on the streets of Chicago without the permission or the request of the local and state officials?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a real challenge for Trump. I think it's going to be litigated heavily. Chicago and the other cities, unlike DC, don't have that federal status. I will say this: it appears, if the articles are correct, that it obviously has a deterrent. As allegedly, there wasn't a murder in the last 10 days in the last article I read, so I think it will have an impact. But I do think it is concerning that they're going into states. They say, I'm all about public safety. It's very, very important. It's one of the number one things that we should focus on. But to do it without being aligned with the mayor and the governor, and to put our friends and neighbors at risk is really a struggle for me.
Well, and when you start to look at, depending on the next city, let's say it is Chicago, when you've got people visiting there all of a sudden, and you're downtown and you're walking through the streets, and then you've got National Guardsmen in fatigue standing on corners, it's gonna have a different impact on you. Just there as a visitor, and are you going to feel safe, or are you going to feel more nervous?
I do think it's a deterrent in some of these cities. Some of these cities, there are issues. Like I also heard St. Louis is one, and St. Louis is a city that I have to go to quite often. And when I tell you that downtown is dead because people are scared to go out, that might be an understatement. So, but I think that you have to be aligned with the mayor and the governor. I think everybody needs to be on the same team and rowing in the same direction. I think just throwing people out there is a problem.
I think we can recognize that there is a problem. If people don't feel safe, then that's bad for both the people, their mental health, as well as the businesses. But then it's, what is the answer to the problem? I think the answer to the problem has to be recruiting more local law enforcement, increasing pay or benefits, making sure that you're getting the best people in. I think in DC, you're seeing militarizing the streets is hurting small businesses too. People aren't going out to restaurants. It might have a deterrent effect on crime, but it's also having a major effect on life. And I think that the ethos of the United States, part of why we've always claimed we're so free and a country that people want to come to, is that we don't have military in our streets. It's not like when you get off the plane in another country where there's that show of military force. In the United States, one of the things that we've always loved is, yes, you have local law enforcement, but you don't have those folks on the streets. And I just want to be clear in my position that it is wrong for a president to send National Guard into an area that hasn't asked for it, doesn't want them. Remember that most National Guards are under a governor's control. And so if a governor of a state is saying no, I think it's a violation of our state sovereignty, and this idea that we are, sure, one country, but we're also 50 states that elect governors and other officers, and then we're cities and counties that elect local officials. And you've got to honor those differences and those localities and that sovereignty.
I was going to ask you, what is the process? Like, if the governor of these states says no, like you can't use it. I mean, can the president come on top of that and order them out?
There are generally two different ways to call up the National Guard. One puts them directly under federal control. One calls upon governors at the request of the president to authorize. What we've seen in the news is at least one governor, the governor of Vermont, say no to the DC operation. And that's another thing that concerns me about DC. It's really two pieces. Number one is chain of command, because at least under the law, all those guards from other states are technically under the instruction of their own governor, yet operating in a different state potentially with police power. And then the second is training, because most of these guards don't have law enforcement background. Most of them are mechanics or CPAs. They have different jobs, but they join the Guard in case our active military needs logistical help and/or we need help after a natural disaster. Those are what the Guard are trained for, not for this. And again, I mentioned it on the last podcast. I've had to call the National Guard in to make sure that a massive protest didn't get out of hand. I know what it looks like when you need to do that as a governor in your own state. And that's not what's going on in DC, and it's not what's going on in Chicago.
And then speaking of what's happening in other states and other cities, we've still got Texas, who has moved ahead with their redistricting plan. And now all of a sudden California is preparing with their own. So, Andy, what's your feeling on this?
Well, I think I made a little news on the last podcast when I said I supported what Gavin Newsom was doing. And to be clear, I think this mid-cycle redistricting is wrong. It's bad for democracy, but you can't have one party changing the rules in a way that favors them and not expect the other party to do the same. That's just not reality. Texas knew when they did this that other states would respond, or they should have known. And if they thought other states wouldn't, then they were simply saying, we're willing to break the rules. And we expect everyone else to be so good that they won't break the rules, and we will get the advantage that President Trump is asking for. So now we've seen Texas move ahead. We've seen California move ahead. The question is, what is the next domino? There are folks in our state that say maybe now they'll take a look at our maps. We have 5 Republican congressmen and 1 Democratic congressman. And if they redraw that one very Democratic district, you might get what you're not looking for. You might get 2 Democratic congressmen instead of just 1.
Andy, but it depends how they redraw it. These maps in every state are getting out of control and just ridiculous. The whole idea of gerrymandering is so wrong, in my opinion. I understand that both parties do it. The Democrats probably did it before the Republicans, and it may never end. And I just think it's so unfair. And if people really sat down and looked at these maps and saw who represented them, they'd be very unhappy.
And if Texas would just go back and say, okay, this wasn't what we wanted to start, this state by state by state, mid-cycle, mid-decade redistricting, California's resolution that they put up even conditioned it on Texas moving forward.
Yeah, and you're hearing already redistricting in Missouri, redistricting in Illinois, redistricting in Indiana. Even like you said this week, all over our local news, they're talking about redistricting in Kentucky. Where does it end? How does it end? Why can't people from either party just talk normal? And my understanding is that an article came out recently that's, basically said, hey, politicians, speak to people in a normal tone, in a normal way. Can you tell us a little bit about that article, what it said, and the significance of it?
Well, I think it picked up 2 of our podcast rules. One is be authentic, you be you. And the second is talk like a normal human being. And I think what this article was about, and it's what I talk about as I travel the country, is that we've got to stop using terms that don't have meanings, that are sterile, that sound like we're talking down to people or at people instead of to them. One of the best examples is the opioid epidemic that Kentucky got hit by, maybe worse than anyone save maybe West Virginia. Now, we've all lost people we love and that we care about, but we didn't lose one of them to substance use disorder. We lost them all to addiction. When you say the word addiction, it is mean, it is nasty, it kills people, it takes them from you. And when you've lost someone, that word is how you feel. It evokes that emotion of hurt and of loss. Or if you have beaten it, if you are in recovery, you deserve credit for going up against that mean, nasty, difficult opponent that is addiction, not substance use disorder. Now, when we talked about the big ugly bill, pushing back against that, you don't push back against it saying more people will be food insecure. It's tough to actually feel that. It's about more people going hungry.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the fishes and the loaves, the miracle that appears in every book of the gospel, Jesus was helping people who are going hungry. Or one of the newest ones is justice involved population. Those are our inmates. Those are folks that are in our jails. And I believe in second chances. We have one of the lower recidivism rates we've had in a decade. I've got now a trade being taught in every one of our prisons. I believe that second chances are something that we are called to do. But you know what our inmates call themselves? Inmates. And so if we're going to actually communicate with each other, if we're going to be able to talk to the American people about tough issues, we at least have to use language that they understand, that actually has meaning and can evoke real conversation.
And I think that was one of the missions that we had when we first started this podcast. I mean, we all sat down and we said, when the 3 of us get together to talk, it's going to be about things that people actually communicate about across their kitchen table and in a normal way. And I think we've done that. And this article talks a lot about what that is.
I will say this. We did say we were going to have some discussion on politics in these podcasts from inception, but we also said we were going to talk about life and other things. And there, in my mind, is not a better time of the year than right now, what's about to kick off, which actually kind of kicked off Friday and Saturday with high school football, college football. Found myself watching an Iowa State versus Kansas State game in Dublin, which I probably would never have
In
watched.
Dublin.
Yes, yeah, but we're back. You can kind of see the fall temperatures are coming in this week. The stars are aligning for the best time of the year, in my opinion.
Sports are a great chance to breathe, to root for your team, to come together with different people and to root for that common cause, and it's fun. And now with NIL, we've got players staying in college football longer. We may see some really good teams this year because of it. I think it's going to be exciting.
And guess what? In Kentucky, you can wager on these games, which is a lot of fun.
We also have baseball coming down to the wire, getting closer and closer on what teams are going to make the playoffs. And then as we move into those, you see these powerhouse teams playing each other. You got the Brewers that have been on just a tear, looking like they might be the team to beat in the NL, despite the Dodgers and everything they've been these last several years. This is when you have all these different sports, professional, college, all playing, high school, all playing at the same time.
I will say, John, I don't know if you noticed this or not. My daughter said, "Hey, Dad, are you coming to Family Day, the football game of Family Day at UK?" And you would think Family Weekend, UK would play a team that was, somebody that they could beat. It's Texas, the number one team in the country.
Yes.
That schedule is brutal.
Yep, it's gonna be a heck of a football game. You're correct.
Now, from a guy whose kids are still in high school to two guys whose daughters are now in college, when they ask you to come to Family Day, is it because they want a nice dinner or they want to see Dad?
You hope it's to see Dad, but I'm assuming they expect a dinner as well. What do you think,
Well, not
John?
just dinner. It's probably Target or Walmart. It's probably a couple dinners. And don't forget to leave or put some money on my card before you leave. But great to see you, Dad.
Yep. Yes.
Hey, don't worry, Andy. It's right around the corner for you. Couple more years, and you'll come commensurate with us.
Well, as you all know, my kids are a year and 3 days apart, so it's going to happen pretty quickly. The bills are going to stack up pretty quickly, but very excited for when they get that chance to pursue their next level of education. Proud of both Will and Lila, and they've taught us a whole lot of lingo.
Our next segment is called In My Kentucky Accent. It's what's on my heart and mind this week. This week, I want to talk about my approach towards elected officials, whether they are in my party or not. I believe that once we are elected to represent our people, and we always have to put them first. For me, that means the Commonwealth of Kentucky. When I was first elected, President Obama was president, I was attorney general. There was a lot that I agreed with President Obama on and cheered him on while certain legislation was passed. There were other regulations that were harmful to Kentucky, and there were even instances where I had to sue that administration. Then came the first Trump administration. And while a lot of attorneys general sued on everything, I sued on those pieces that impacted Kentucky the most and that I thought was unlawful. The Biden administration became governor. I took the same approach. When that president, who I supported, did something good for Kentucky, I thanked him. When he did something that I thought hurt my state, I spoke out. And that's where we come to now for how I deal with President Trump. You only have credibility in criticizing a president when they do wrong if you also are willing to admit when they do right. I've told you on numerous occasions that the FEMA response in Kentucky under President Trump has been some of the best that I've seen. That doesn't mean that I don't vehemently disagree with him on the devastating Medicaid cuts under the big, ugly bill, or his actions as it relates to sending National Guard from other states to Washington, D.C., or a tariff policy that is going to wreak havoc on our economy in Kentucky and across rural America. I can stand up and say I think this president is harming rural America at a level that I've never seen before, while at the same time, when he does something I agree with, making sure that I say that too. That's the idea, that we put our people first. And if we did that in Congress, we wouldn't just have straight votes with Democrats over here and Republicans over there, but you'd actually have people talking about policies that help a region, policies that help a people, policies that can help the country, and not just policies that can help one party. So if there's a prescription out there to healing this country, number one, put our people first. Number two, push the politics out of it. And then let's get a lot of things done. That's the end of episode 21 of the Andy Beshear Podcast. And folks, we are so much closer to our big, gigantic announcement. We are really excited about what we're going to be able to share with the world. Remember, you can download us on all major platforms, but follow our YouTube channel at Andy Beshear Podcast. This is going to get fun. Come along for the ride. I promise you, we'll continue to process the tough information, but we'll also work towards that better United States of America and that better world that we all so desperately want. Remember, you can download us on all major platforms or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Andy Beshear Podcast. Your downloads and your subscriptions are what keep us going and keeps this conversation going. So make sure you're a part of it, and let's do this together.